Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Vidirayet Srinvatam Swagata Krishna Punyat Sravana Kirtanaha Hrudayantas Sohi Abhadrani Vidunoti Suhrutsakam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nitsam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamaśloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, verse 29 and 30, verse 29. Yenopashantir bhutanam shulakanam api hatam antarhito antarhudayo kasmano vedana shishaha. Synonyms: Yena, by which process, upashantihi, satisfaction of all desires, bhutanam, of living entities, shulakanam, very much father, api, also, ihatam, desiring many things, antarhitaha, hidden, antahrudaye, in the core of the heart, kasmat, why, na, our, veda, he knows, na, not, shisha, desires. Translation and purport by Srivengate A.T. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation: When the Lord, out of his natural compassion, thinks of his devotees, and by that process only are all desires of the neophyte devotees fulfilled. The Lord is situated in every living entity's heart. Also, the living entity may be very insignificant. The Lord knows everything about the living entity, including all his desires. Although we are very insignificant, why should the Lord not know our desires? Purport. A very advanced devotee does not think himself advanced. He is always very humble. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his plenary expansion as the Paramatma or Super Soul, sits in everyone's heart and can understand the attitudes and desires of his devotees. The Lord also gives opportunity to the non-devotees to fulfill their desires. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Matha Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Whatever a living entity desires, however insignificant he may be, is noted by the Lord, who gives him a chance to fulfill his desires. If the desires of the non-devotees are fulfilled, why not those of the devotee? A pure devotee simply wants to engage in the service of the Lord without material desire. And if he wants this within the core of his heart, where the Lord is situated, and if he is without ulterior motive, why should the Lord not understand? If a sincere devotee renders service to the Lord or to the Archa Vigraha, the form of the Lord, all his activities prove successful because the Lord is present within his heart and understands his sincerity. Thus, if a devotee with all confidence goes on discharging the prescribed duties of devotional service, he will ultimately attain success. Text 30. Asaveva varosmakam ipsito jagatha pate prasanno bhagavan esham apavarga gurur gatihi. Synonym: also that eva, certainly, vara, benediction, asmakam, our, ipsita, desired, jagatha, of the universe, pate, O Lord, prasanna, satisfied, bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Esham, with whom, apavarga, of transcendental loving service, Guruhu, the teacher, Gatihi, the ultimate goal of life. Translation: O Lord of the universe, you are the actual teacher of the science of devotional service. You are satisfied that your Lordship is the ultimate goal of our life, and we pray that you will be satisfied with us. That is our benediction. We do not desire anything other than your full satisfaction. Purport: in this word, the words apavarga, gurur, gatihi are very significant. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 1.211, the Supreme Lord is the ultimate fact of the absolute truth. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti shabdyate. The absolute truth is realized in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. The word apavarga means liberation, Pavarga means material existence. In material existence, one always works very hard but is ultimately baffled. One then dies and has to accept another body to work very hard again. This is the cycle of material existence. Apavarga means just the opposite. Instead of working hard like cats and dogs, one returns home back to Godhead. Liberation begins with merging into the Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Lord. This conception is held by the Jnani Kampradaya, philosophical speculators. But realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is higher. When a devotee understands that the Lord is satisfied, liberation or merging into the effulgence of the Lord is not very difficult. One has to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the impersonal Brahman effulgence, just as one has to approach the sun through the sunshine. It is not very difficult to merge into the impersonal effulgence of the Lord Brahman if one has satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead and of the Perfect. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्थाय बुतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शुभासादि गौर भक्त हरे कृष्ण कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for giving me this opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. So I'm going to summarize the notes from Vachitan Vedanta lecture. And, so we are in the chapter 30, the canto 4, titled The Activities of the Prachetas. The first few verses, Pracheta, it talks about how Pracheta attained the Vishnu Darshana. And the Prachetas chant the Rudra Gita, did the austerity underwater for 1,000 years. That's how they attained Vishnu Darshana. And the next few verses talks about Lord's speech to the Prachetas. What is the result of remembering and chanting Rudra Gita and benediction and qualities of the devotees. And now last few verses from 22nd to now, Prachetas are offering obeisances, to the Lord and prayers to the Lord. And we last couple of verses we heard about Lord's form and Akshtavigraha, and today verses talks about Lord's satisfaction is the devotee's benediction. So coming to the verse 29, the core teaching of this verse is Lord knows and fulfills the devotee's heart. Here it describes that how Lord, out of natural compassion, fulfills the desire of even the most fallen, Adhama or neophyte devotees, because Lord is the super soul, Paramatma in everyone's heart. And he knows all desires and provides for the devotee's satisfaction. Even though devotees may consider himself insignificant or fallen, but Lord, personally resides in the heart as Paramatma, and he fully knows devotee's desire. And when Lord becomes pleased with the devotee's sincerity, the devotee's desires are fulfilled automatically without any separate endeavor. And here, key points are, pure, sincere devotee never thinks himself advanced. Humility is the natural ornament of bhakti. And Lord, fulfills both material and spiritual desires, but he especially gives attention to his devotee. And also, the neophyte devotees are, from karmis, petition Lord, their desires are what they want. But, if the devotees are pure and they don't need to petition the Lord externally, and Lord reads the heart directly, and also pure devotee does not desire anything from the Lord in that place other than serving Him eternally, life after life. And in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham vidhi sannivishto matasmati jnanam apoham cha, this verse states that where Krishna says that, I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from him that all the activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also that about his past life. Thus, Lord is not only all pervading, but he also localized in everyone, every individual heart. And also Bhagavad Gita 10:10 shows that, talks about, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So a person may have a bona fide spiritual master, may be attached to the spiritual organization, but if he's still not intelligent enough to make the progress, but then Krishna from within gives him instruction so that he may ultimately come to him without any difficulty. So the qualification is that person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness with love and devotion, render all kinds of services. You should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. So if a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain him. So when we, Srila Prabhupada also often emphasized in his lectures, Krishna is not blind. He sees how sincerely, you are serving. You may not ask him, but he knows. So bhakti is therefore, not a mechanical process. It is a relational based on sincerity and dependence. If you go one step closer to Krishna, Krishna will come 100 steps closer to us. So, and also, Srila Prabhupada always, even though, is God's son and is a Bhakti Vedanta, but many times, Srila Prabhupada says that, she's very humble, and he and seen in many places, many instances. Even when Prabhupada landed in US, he wrote a prayer, stating that, how insignificant he is, how fallen he is, and he still he fully prays for Krishna. You brought me here for the purpose, and see what, because of you I'm here, and he fully depend on Krishna and his mercy to continue his, the reason why he here. And even the Bhakti Vinod Thakur in one of his songs on Sharanagati, Amara Jivan Sada Pape Rata. So in this verse, we can see how this, uh, pure devotees, always, show their humble and humility. In that translation of that Sharanagati prayer, Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that, I'm impious sinner, and I've caused others great anxiety and trouble. I have never hesitated to perform sinful acts for my own enjoyment, devoid of all compassion, concerned only with my selfish interest. I am remorseful, seeing others happy. So, that's how it goes on and says, even in this old age, I am deprived of all means of success, humbled and poor, and he submits his tale of grief at the feet of Supreme Lord. That's the way, he prays the Sharanagati prayers. It tells that, however sincere and pure the devotees are, real devotees always, you know, be humble, shows his humility by example. And coming to the verse that it talks about what is the highest benediction, any devotee wants, it's speaking the Krishna. So the Prachetas declare that their only desired benediction is Krishna's satisfaction. So they reject all other goals, material enjoyment, mystic power, or even liberation, and accept Bhagavan himself as the both teacher and as well as the final destination of life. In the purport, Prabhupada, says about the words Apavarga Guru Gati are very significant. Apavarga means liberation, Pavarga means material existence. In material existence, one always works very hard but is ultimately backward. When one then dies, has to accept another body to work very hard again. This is the cycle of material existence. Whereas Apavarga means the just opposite. Instead of working hard like cats and dogs. One returns to home, back to Godhead, and so when the Lord is pleased, liberation ultimately automatically follows, but the devotee does not even care for it. And there are a lot of verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, mentions the same in, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 6 talks about the supreme occupation of all humanity is that by which men can attain loving devotional service unto the Lord. And pure devotees does not ask for even for liberation. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19th chapter talks about a verse like Krishna Bhakta Nishkama. The devotee has no desire other than to serve Krishna. And Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj explains that liberation is a byproduct of devotion, but love of God is the goal. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada also states repeatedly, if Krishna is satisfied, everything is satisfied. So our own focus should be how to please Krishna, chant sincerely, remember him, then everything else will fall in place. And so the power of parampara, right, disciplic succession, the either Prachata achieved the success because they followed the instructions of Lord Shiva, who gave them, Rudra Gita mantra to chant, and they remained faithful to their guru, and if they followed it appropriately. So perfect guru disciple, pairing is mentioned here like Krishna and Arjuna, Sukadev Goswami, Maharaj Parshit. So the disciplic succession which Prabhupada, brought to us and through which, we are doing this. This is a more authentic sampradaya, we have to follow, and that's what the ISKCON is about. And also the second verse talks about the nature of humility. Center theme is an advanced devotee never view themselves as advanced. Srila Prabhupada, despite his, global impact, he often expressed deep humility. Once tearfully telling his disciples that, his own Guru Maharaj sent them to help because he was just as one old man. And even we heard many times about Bhakti Vinod Thakur's, poems and his, Sharanagati. He recounts famous bhajan, where he describes himself as a factory of sin. And this is not literal, but the manifestation of Trinadakti Sunishana, being humbler than blade of glass to attract the Lord's mercy. So in summary, uh, compassion, the Lord love for soul is like a parent's love for a child, unconditional and natural. And we should know how to pray to the Lord. We have read that we are reading the Pracheta's prayers, and there is Dhruv Maharaj prayer, and in the Prahlad Maharaja, and all these prayers, show us examples of how to pray, what is the prayers of the pure devotees, what they don't want anything other than satisfaction of Krishna Prema, that is the ultimate goal. And the goal is the highest perfection of life and the full satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So verse 29 talks about Lord knows and fulfills the devotee's heart, and verse 30 talks about highest benediction is pleasing Krishna. That is what the Pracheta declared, that the only desired benediction is Krishna's satisfaction and rejecting all other goals like material enjoyment, mystic power, or even liberation. So with that, I can conclude. Please forgive me for any shortcoming. Vanchakalpatarubhasya Krupa Sindhu